What about now? What about now? That did it. Okay. All right, audio fixed. Now I just had to. Why isn't it showing people? All right, audio fixed. All right, what I'm gonna do is. Technical difficulties. All right, that works. Oh, I see why. I see why. Okay. Maybe now? Yes! Yes, okay. Now it's live. All right. Just gonna wait for some people to get in here, you know? Hello. Okay. So, yeah, sorry there was some technical difficulty. Is it really blurry? Does it look horrible, or is that just me? No, okay. It looks normal. Okay. Okay. Boo 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 doo boo. Hello, hello. Green screen background. It's working, yeah. I had it set to private. It was just, I think it was just automatically set to private, and I had to make it public. So, and then the audio wasn't working again for some weird reason. Oh, I know why. Yeah. The weird reason is when I record the gaming videos, I have to set my mic to the a second audio track, and streaming that doesn't pick it up. I think it's just you and me. It's just you and me, JC. Let me. Well, that's fine. There's someone else? Yeah, it's me. Doop doop doop. Oh, let me see if this works. No one, no, yeah, no one came in earlier. So, does this work? Wah, wah, wah. Can you still hear me? Yeah. Okay. It's Manson. How's it going? I'm just waiting for a few more people to get in here. There was some technical difficulties at the beginning. I'm gonna switch back to this. Linda, what's up? Okay, now it's working. So yeah, I'm gonna talk about the layout of Dragontown. How I'm working on it. This is just blank, and there's no back. But yeah, actually, this I should have printed out. I guess you'll see it. But like the inside is gonna look sort of like that. This is the old, an old layout, but kind of similar. So we're gonna go through all that, and yeah, it's gonna be good. Oh yeah, so Bagrin. Yes, there will be a video like recap. I'm not gonna upload just the the live stream. I'm gonna cut it down so it's just the useful parts and stuff. Mr. Quacks, what's up? Okay, so I think hello, good night. Yeah, I'm gonna wait just a minute more. One of these days, I'm gonna get this live stream thing down. For some reason, the recording stuff with OBS is so much different than live streaming it. Even though it's not that different, it's weird. It's weird. Hey, thanks, Leo. That means a lot. Brandon. Yeah, mouse wrist is for real. Look at that. Look at that, dude. Big old bump. And I got the like bump on my my middle finger from holding the pencil. I even have the, well, I guess maybe if I just get a bigger mouse pad, that'll be better. But yeah, it's a big old bump. Yeah, right? So I remember in grad school I was we had like a studio for the like second year people, and we were all working, and we started comparing our calluses on our hands from drawing so much, and it was like who had the biggest callus from drawing the most. It was like really who had the biggest callus from holding their pen wrong. Okay. Yeah, us macho cartoonists. All right, I'm gonna see if this works. Gonna get into talking about this layout stuff. Okay. I set this up very quickly. Here we go. Okay, yeah. So this picture is gonna overlap the logo, but then it'll go away. All right, Dragontown Zine. So I guess just a minute of backstory. Hello from France. That's awesome. So Dragontown is my first RPG zine. It was a Zine Quest Kickstarter that was back. It happened in February. Is that when the Kickstarter was? Oh my gosh. Been working on it nonstop. What you're looking at here is Adobe InDesign. This is the layout software that I'm using to put the book together. Um, the book is completely written. There's a few spots that need to be revised after playtesting, but I like to say it's completely written. All the text is laid out except for those few spots that need to be reworked. And now I am doing all of the illustrations and maps and everything. And then once this part is done, there'll be revisions and proofreading and all that. Then it goes straight to the printer and will come back looking like this. Shipped to all the backers, all the people that pre-ordered, all that stuff. I think there's a link in the description that'll take you to the pre-order. Maybe. I don't know how the live stream stuff works, but yes. Sman Sam. Lots of pixel art. Right on, dude. Yeah. Mr. Quack is just quack what? Okay. All right. So let me I'm going to start talking about this. There is a link. Okay, awesome. Okay, so this is Adobe InDesign. It is specifically meant for laying out books and magazines, zines. Book layout is its intended purpose. So what you're looking at here is a zoomed out view of the zine. It's actually it's zoomed out as far as it can go, and I think it's like the first 30 or so pages. The actual zine is going to be 40 pages long. But these are, let me get my shortcut key here. These are just the page spreads. So when you lay out a book, when you look at a book, you're looking at 2 pages at once, so you kind of have to lay it out that way. So, yeah, here's a zoomed in view of the first 5 pages, and I'll explain why it looks weird. You can see the text, or the little gray lines. But yeah, those are, so like the first page of a book, when you open the cover, it's just like you're looking at page 1. That's the green box there. And then as you flip the pages, you're always looking at 2 pages. So you have to design it with that in mind. And because this is a resource for dungeon masters, my idea is to try and keep looks like a Black Ops file. Yeah, it's not actually redacted. It's just it's because it's zoomed out. The way it like shows the text is these gray boxes. So my sort of overall philosophy for laying out a zine that is meant to be used as a tool to run a game of D&D is that each page spread should kind of contain everything you need for the section that you are running in that moment. So as we go through, you'll sort of get an idea. There are a couple exceptions to that where there are maps that are bigger, and you will have to flip between a couple pages here and there. But for the most part, whatever scenario or encounter that you're running at the moment, you can just have the zine laying there open in front of you. Pode Studios, what's up? Zachary from the hospital. Hope you're okay, dude. What's going on? From the hospital? Uh-oh. Okay. Let me see. No, not... Okay, I got it. There we go. Okay. So it all starts with a blank... So InDesign has like these... They're called master pages. And basically it's like a template. So I made this template. Um, Usually when I'm designing stuff, I kind of put a half-inch border around everything. So you can see the blue lines are guides that will help me kind of keep things organized. But I actually bumped these out a little bit just so I could fit more stuff in. So instead of being half an inch, they're actually 0.35 inch borders. I think it's still a half an inch at the bottom because little page numbers will go down there. But um, everywhere else is 0.35 inches. And then I have there's two columns. So this is going to be, most of the zine is laid out in two columns. And that's just to keep things super readable, which we'll talk more about. Okay. This is what the zine looks like right now, before I am doing the illustrations. Had a seizure. Oh no. Well, I hope you're good, dude. Rest up and recover. And Pode, yeah, dude, yeah, the mini ramp is awesome. Gonna have some friends over to skate it tomorrow. Okay, so this is what the zine looks like right now. 2-page spread. I think, yeah, this is technically the first spread of the zine. When you open the inside cover, it's going to be the map that's in the background here behind me. The inside cover and page 1 are going to be the map of Dragontown. Chastity, how's it going? But this is the first actual spread of the zine. And so what you're looking at, all these colors and stuff, that's not how the zine is actually going to look. The type that's laid in, that's in there, that's formatted and organized. But these boxes are just my way of keeping things straight. Sort of how I can imagine the layout before it's actually done. So the pink boxes or the magenta boxes up at the top are that means handwritten title. So the one on the left will say Dragontown, and then the one on the right will say something else. I forget. I have it written down somewhere. The blue boxes, or the blue boxes are for, there's going to be a border, so to sort of make things pop in the layout, I'm going to have spots where there's a little kind of parchment border with a drop shadow that's illustrated, just to sort of almost the idea is Flik Silverpen is making this guide to Dragontown, this place, and there's parts where he's written important stuff or stuff that should stand out, and he's put it on top of the book or the page of the book, stuck it in the book kind of. The yellow boxes are places that I need to update, or in this case write something new. This is where I think I'm going to put some additional resources, hey, if you need prices for meals at the inn, which actually is, I have that in the zine now, but just some links to some stuff that will be important, maybe additional resource type things. And then the black boxes, that's where illustrations will go. So this is going to be along the bottom there'll be like some rolling hills and the castle, the ruined castle up on the hill, um, with some apple trees is what the illustration down at the bottom of this page is going to be. Um, yeah. So this, yeah, exactly. This is a rough draft of the book, but it's actually just the zine minus the illustrations. Um, so like for the most part, the text is all the text is laid out exactly how it's gonna look in the book. Um, okay, and I did that by using so there's like all these tools that like okay, hold on. How am I explaining this? Okay, let me go back. So a big part of laying out the text is, like I was saying, this is a resource for a dungeon master. So I want to make it as clear and as easy to read as possible. So that means lots of text formatting, indentions, in this case, numbering things, and making bold titles and stuff. And in InDesign, there's a bunch of tools that allow you to do that. This is kind of what I keep open to the side while I'm formatting text. So you can kind of, it's a little more involved than like say the formatting in a Word document or something like that. You can control the spacing in between the lines of text. You can control the spacing that comes at the end of a block of text. In between paragraphs, how big, when you hit enter, how big that space is. And then you can, if you look closely, you can see that the text, the lines of text like run up to the edges. So it's like a nice block of text. It's not like a sentence, says something and then stops, and then the next sentence like goes a little further because there's a longer word. And then, it's not all like jagged on the right end. It's all like a block. And then the final line of text before hitting enter kind of stops. So that's something just to help keep these columns super organized and clear, easy to read. And that's all done with these controls that I sort of have open on the side. And then the other thing was, it took me a while to land on this new Spirit font. So originally I had one that I purchased that I thought I was going to use, but I needed something a little bit more dynamic, and I found this new Spirit font that I really like. New typeface. New Spirit typeface that I really like. Lots of control. There's a condensed version, which is really what I needed. I wanted something that had just a regular version for the titles. So like adventure summary, adventure hooks. Those are like the regular bold version, and then all of the like body typed is condensed, and that's just so I can cram more and more information into the zine, get as much writing on the pages as possible, and not have it broken up into multiple pages per section kind of thing. Okay, so moving on. So this is, I've talked about Grandpap's Farm before and Goatlands in some of the videos. This is the Grandpap's Farm section. So you can see I have the, up at the top in the pink bar, it's going to say Grandpap's Farm. There's a little description that is italicized of, like how the DM would describe the farm. And then the black box over there is going to be the illustration of Grandpap, a little description of him, his quest. The green box that I didn't mention before, green boxes are for maps. So that's where a map of Grandpap's farm is gonna go. Based on the playtesting, I gotta clean up the text there in that yellow box about the goatlands. Just give a little bit more information. I have a little bit more space, so I'm gonna put in a little bit more information about the goatlands. And then I have the stat blocks for the goatland, and then Hornhead Bossbeard, the leader. So those stat blocks, I'm trying to keep it super, super minimal and like easy, just as easy as possible to run. So everything is statted for 5e, but the way I've kind of written it out, super easy to convert to whatever system. And then there's this thing in the Neverland book that Andrew Kolb wrote. This excellent, very inspiring adventure resource book that is all about playing D&D in Neverland. He did a really cool thing where the stats for monsters were just 3. He just gave like 3 numbers. So instead of having strength, dexterity, constitution, blah, 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 all of the stats listed out, he just gave a high, a medium, and a low number. And then you can kind of apply that to whatever stat you need. And I kind of shrunk that even down and just gave a high and a low modifier. And so that is, so like for a goatland, for example, a high number. So like maybe they're like goat goblins. So, they have a +2 as their high number and a -1 as their low number. So like if they needed to make a dexterity roll or maybe a constitution roll, they would add +2. But if they needed to make a charisma check, it would be a -1. And that's kind of how you read that. And that way, just by having it super easy, basic like that, if you're a DM sitting there reading these stats, it's not this huge, crazy, like here are all these numbers. At least when I look at that stuff, I get overwhelmed. This way, it's super simple, and I can use my brain enough that I know that, these are, I've read the sections about the goatlands. I know what their deal is, and I can apply these high or low saving throws super easily. And it just makes it easier. Yeah, okay, so the color blocking here is not actually going to be, the book is going to be completely black and white. I probably should have said this earlier. The color blocking is simply to help me as I'm looking through all 40 pages, just to help me see what needs to be done, what is left to do. So I think, oh no, I didn't put the finished Grandpap's farm page in. Shoot. Okay, well, I'm going to show you the whole process on this other spread. So this spread does not have all the it doesn't have all this stuff, the goodies, the map and what else? It's really just the map. This page is more finished. So okay, this is where I'm actually going to show you the process that I'm doing now. So this is the Alley Cats spread. So Brandon, he might still be in chat in my my big ongoing non-Dragontown game. Brandon plays a Tabaxi Ranger, and his backstory, he came up with this whole thing about the Alley Cats. Yeah, Mr. Brandon in the chat. And I stole that idea from one campaign and I'm putting it into Dragontown. So the dragon is missing from Dragontown and his treasure is left unattended in the castle. And so the Alley Cats hear about this, and they have come to rob the dragon of Dragontown. So it's this group of 9 thieving cats, and they're like putting together a heist to get into the castle and steal the dragon's treasure. And this is the 2-page spread that introduces them and like kind of tells all their information. So there's the pink box is the title that's going to say the Alley Cats, and then all 9 of them are going to be illustrated and kind of put into the where these black boxes are just kind of there as indication. And then there's a list of all 9 of them, kind of their personality and their jobs, and then and then there's stat blocks on the sides. So I get this all put together in InDesign, and then I copy it over into Photoshop where I'm doing all the dragons. I'm reading chat. They would try and rob. Yes, they would. Wouldn't they? Yes. Hello. Yeah, okay, I should also say, if you have questions about anything along the way, hit me up in chat. I'm kind of keeping my eye on chat, clearly, as I said I brought this into Dragon when I meant to say Photoshop. So yeah, all I do is I take a screenshot of okay, I'm drawing everything in Photoshop, so all the illustrations and the hand lettering and the maps and everything's done in Photoshop. So I'm kind of flipping back and forth between InDesign and Photoshop. So once I get the layout all planned, everything blocked in, then I just take a screenshot, copy it. I have the same template that's in InDesign in Photoshop, and I just copy the screenshot into Photoshop, reduce the opacity on the layer, and then I can kind of draw the illustrations on top and fill them into these spaces that I've allocated with these blocks of color. So it looks like this, and then I can do the drawings on top. And actually, let me see. So this is what, okay, hold on. I'm trying to think, because I'm going to edit this down into a YouTube video, and I have a time lapse of all this drawing here. But now you've all seen the drawing. So do I show the time lapse? So what I'm going to say is, so after I import this, I bring the screenshot into Photoshop, and then I fill in all the drawing. Yeah, and then the drawing happens. And then I guess at the end, when I get through this, I'll put the time lapse on, and we could just talk in the chat. How about that? Answer some questions and all that. What is HD on the Alley Cat? Yeah, so that is hit dice. Hit dice is basically in, I think they list it in the monster manual. Maybe they don't anymore. Basically, it's it's the way that old D&D used to like determine how tough monsters were. I think that's the simplest way of putting it. So, just to make this zine as friendly and as useful as possible, I'm putting in hit dice so that people who run like OSR, old school Renaissance, or old school Revival, I've heard it both ways, games, like different games, they can easily convert this stuff into those game systems by using hit dice. And actually, it's cool because it's it doesn't always work and it gets complicated, but in theory, if you're running a super simple game, the only stat you need for a monster is hit dice, and then you can determine how much HP they have, what they're so like basically if what do the alley cats have? 2 hit dice. So like a hit dice is typically a D8. So you would average that as like a 5. So typically in an old school game, the alley cats, just with using hit dice 2, you would know that they would have 10 HP, and that when they make their attacks, because it's a 2 hit dice, they would like add +2 to their attacks. And like that's kind of all the stats you really need to run a monster. Makes it super simple. Yeah, the stat blocks are something that I have to go back and tweak a little bit. So I think it says the alley cats have +3 attack, so their hit dice probably actually need to be 3. And then 5e kind of ignores hit dice stuff and like makes up their own stats. So because players do way more damage, HP is like way higher in 5e and stuff. Yeah. So, okay. So the alley cats, all drawn in Photoshop. I save out each little section so I can move them around. So like right now the layout has all these lines going everywhere, and it's basically each illustration has a bounding box on it. Excuse me. Each block of text has a bounding box on it, and it's just to sort of see and keep everything. So like, you can easily line stuff up with the guides, but yeah, I mean, I guess it makes it easy. You can like center stuff on the guides and stuff. But once the illustrations get in here, it kind of gets, once I import the illustrations into InDesign. We're back in InDesign now, by the way. Then it gets a little more complicated, and I have to start like fudging stuff around. Right on, yeah. Hit dice are very cool. So now I'm looking at this, and so like I want the layout to be like, priority number 1 is for the layout to be clear, readable, useful, like simple for the dungeon master to run from. Secondly, I want it to like look cool and sort of give off a feeling of what the vibe of Dragontown is, right? But then at the same time, I don't want it to be too busy, and like there's a balance, right? So this is actually a pretty simple page spread. There's not a whole lot of like extra stuff. I was thinking like, oh, maybe it'd be cool if they were all like standing on like cobblestone or something, like kind of put more illustration and design into it. But I think the design of this page spread is simple, but there's also a ton of information here. So I think keeping it as simple as possible is actually the way to go. But looking at it now, it's like things need to be kind of like shifted and moved around a little bit. So what's the next? Okay. And it's super hard to look at with all these bounding boxes. So what I do is turn off, you can like turn on overprint preview and turn off all of the guides and the bounding boxes. And this is actually what the zine is going to look like. So there's not going to be lines and color blocks all over the place. It's going to be nice and clean. And then from this point, now I can start like nudging all the little pieces and parts around, making sure that everything feels balanced. Like if you look at this page spread, you know, cat caper and feline crime are like too close up at the top of the illustration. You know, it's like too crammed in there, and then there's too much space down at the bottom, and then on the other page there's too much space in between. It's like the opposite problem. The text and the illustration don't like bump up enough. They don't sit well together. Rinko, what's up? So now I gotta like start moving stuff around, and eventually I get to this. So now it just feels it's a little tighter, right? And I decided if I wanted to be really, really helpful, I should just go ahead and like label all of the cats. There's 9 alley cats, and that's kind of an overwhelming number of characters for DM to keep track of. So if you have, even though there's there's a very clear list of who everybody is, what their deal is, if you have the page spread open and maybe you're using miniatures and stuff, this labeling them will really, really help. So I kind of put these extra labels in, and bonus, it also kind of fills out some of the space a little bit more as well. So yeah, at this point, this is basically what the what this page spread is going to look like in the book. I might add a little bit more something. Like I'm going back and forth because like Blue, he is the leader. He's the one down there by himself. He's kind of like the most important of the alley cats, and you know, it does look a little empty around him, but also like he's the most important one, so it kind of draws your eye in at the same time. So I'm conflicted if I should like add some more elements in or just leave it empty. I'm tempted to just leave it empty just to keep things clear, and like it still kind of works. Yeah. He doesn't look like a leader? Oh. So his description is, I gotta get close here. Blue is the smallest of the alley cats, but definitely the boss. Everybody calls him the boss. He seems friendly at first glance, but is slyly manipulative, conniving, and arrogant. He always wins his bets. Look at that dude. So that brings up another point of using the... I talked a little bit about this in my last video. So like the description of Blue... There's no, other than he is the smallest alley cat, which you could infer from looking at his illustration. All of his description is about his personality and his dynamic with the other alley cats. But then the illustration does the rest of the work. So the fact that he's the smallest, I tried to make it look like, his facial expression is like he's the most confident. And I love the idea of it's kind of the typical, like bully on the playground stereotype where it's like the little kid like the smallest kid in the class is always the biggest bully, right? Because they have the most uh the most they like have to make up for. I'm trying to think of the they have like not the most to prove, but the there's a word on the tip of my tongue. Um, it's kind of like they're the most insecure because they're the smallest, and so they like overcompensate by being like, one, it starts off like they have to overcompensate by acting tough and stuff, but then eventually they get so good at it that they, this little tiny cat is actually who's in control of these other 8 cats that are all capable and dangerous. But he got so good at being confident and manipulative that he's the leader, and that's what makes him the most dangerous. So yeah, I don't know. I just love that dynamic, and it makes sense for a group of thieves, and pickpockets. Overcompensate. Yeah. Chap, how you doing, dude? Faked it until he made it. Faked it so much that he actually made it, and then like got really good at what he was doing. Yeah. What's up, Jason? Dudes. Got the pals in the chat. That's awesome. I'm catching up here. Maybe if they had a guild symbol or something. Okay, so that's actually a really good point. The actually, hold on. Let me yeah. So we're at the end of the slideshow. Let me slideshow. I made a slideshow for my live stream. Let me do this real quick. We're gonna get while we talk here, because there's some good stuff happening in the chat. If we do second monitor and then get rid of slideshow. Yeah. I can do that. Perfect. And then I can get rid of the logo. Okay, so this is what you're watching here is the time lapse of me illustrating the alley cats. So I'm gonna let this play, and we can talk through some stuff here. Okay, they had a guild symbol or something. Yeah. Okay, that's an interesting to put behind. Yeah. So there's Dragontown is as like a resource. The zine has a lot of it's like there's the general store, there's the blacksmith, there's the cleric temple. It has like all the important places that are in a small town. There's page spreads for all of those. And one thing I'm doing is illustrating like the general store has a sign outside, and so like the title with Quinn's Sundries Market is the name of the store. That is that's like the sign is also the title in the zine, if that makes sense. But the alley cats, they don't have a sign, and they're a bunch of thieves, so they don't there's the thieves can't, which is like a language that rogues in D&D have, that they can use to communicate like, hey, this is a safe place. They can like make a mark on a building or something to say like this place is safe, or but like otherwise I don't think they would have any like official markings and stuff, because they're trying to stay hidden, right? Like so part of the alley cats is they are blackmailing the town's baker to use his shop as an entrance to an underground cavern where they have their like thieves hideout. So I don't think they're trying to ever advertise like, hey, this is our official guild symbol or anything like that. They're trying to get the dragon's treasure and get the heck out of there. They don't want to stay in Dragontown too long. So, but yeah, what I'm trying to say is that I'm absolutely using that idea everywhere else in the book. Because it's a good idea. Okay, let me catch up on chat here. Boom, boom, boom. Next video, how to make a handmade toy. I mean, that would be fun. I don't know. One thing I wanted to do at some point was to make a Flik Silverpen miniature. Like actually sculpt a little Flik Silverpen and try and paint it and stuff. I have not painted miniatures and do not have the equipment, and I don't know how to sculpt it all either. So it would be a big learning process. But I think at some point I will do a video attempting that. I don't know. It'll be a video teaching you through my how do you say it? Through my failures, like learn along with me, not me teaching you, kind of thing. Whoop. Getting the drawing situated. Jab, dude, how are you doing? Good to hear from you. Or thanks for being here. It's cool. So everybody, Chap, we went to college together, and for a minute, he was gonna live in the shed in our backyard. I don't think, did that ever work out? I don't know. So JC and I, Band of Weirdos, is my wife. We lived in a house with two other dudes. Our sophomore and junior year in college, and yeah, Chap was gonna live in the shed in the back. So yeah, this is Cal. He is that's being illustrated right now. He is the friendly alley cat that actually doesn't like stealing from people, but he, everybody else enjoys stealing and the life of crime. So he just kind of goes along with it. And so actually, Cal and Torby, they both have bandages on their heads because they went into the Ugly Mug Tavern, which is another page spread in the zine. The tavern, which is where travelers would stay. It's called the Ugly Mug Inn and Tavern. They went in there when they first got to Dragontown, and some trouble started. And the owner of the Ugly Mug, who is Zora, she is a half-orc adventurer, retired adventurer, puts up with no mischief in her tavern, and so she busts mugs over people's heads if they cause trouble. And that's where the name The Ugly Mug comes from. And so they have, their heads are bandaged because they caused trouble. Actually, Cal probably just got caught up in it and didn't actually cause any trouble, but he suffered the consequences because he's the good guy of the group. Doing great. Yeah, I don't think you ever dude, that's crazy. That's awesome. Glad you're doing great, man. Okay, for the character and creature design, do you plan it out ahead of time, or are you figuring out as you do? So I kind of like the same way that so like my process is usually like sitting at the computer and like as I'm writing, and this is actually, Jason, this is how I do comics too. Like I write it all for, like, I do an outline. So like it's like slowly building step by step. So like I do an outline and then I kind of script it and then get more detailed, and then I'll like sit there with my eyes closed and like imagine the panel. So like I think the way the Alley Cats started was because they were in the other game. I thought like, okay, this is a group of thieves. I was like, Brandon came up with these Alley Cats, and he had a pretty clear idea of Blue, the leader. Um, Although he's Brandon's idea is like he's much more vicious. And the reason his name is Blue is because his tooth had turned blue, because he has like a poisonous bite. So I kept his snaggle tooth and his name, but it kind of changed from there. But the original Bluetooth, yeah, he's Bluetooth in the other game. But so the original idea is like I have to come up with this group that is a bunch of thieves. So like the idea is, if it's a bunch of cats that are like running together, like they would all have a different job. So like in the zine, they're kind of like planning this heist of how to. It's not a very well thought out plan, but they're planning a heist to get the dragon's treasure, and so they like all kind of have jobs. And so like so planning out their jobs, and then their personalities can kind of follow. So like give them a job, and then like what kind of person would have that kind of job in this kind of group type of thing. And then once I have that written out, then I can sit there with my eyes closed and kind of picture what these cats look like. So like this, I think Chaco is the hooded one. And it's like, I love the idea that there's like, it's like a group of cats that are together, and they're like kind of loud and cocky for the most part, and they run around like stealing coin purses from people around town, and like, but then there's like a couple of outlier, and so Chaco is the one in this hood. He's like the one that like never talks and like stands in the back and just kind of like doesn't show his face. He's like real serious about it all, and is like he's like, maybe he is like the real thief. Like the one that like if all the alley cats got caught, like he wouldn't get caught, and he would yeah, yeah, kind of Silent Bob, sure. Maybe not like, I mean, he super looks like Silent Bob, dude. I wasn't picturing him being like that dumb, really. But I think that is the Alley Cat's downfall, right? Is that they're not the smartest group of, there's a reason that they're like living in a cave under the town. And not like, they don't have like a mansion somewhere that, like Blues is still stealing from people. He's not like just some leader, with a bunch of minions, Um, but yeah, so yeah, I kind of come up with the ideas of the characters, and then that like informs it, and I can just kind of sit there and, the designs are simple enough that it's easy to like imagine it enough in my brain, and then I can draw it and kind of figure it out, tweak it as I go. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I've been thinking about the Alley Cats for over a year now, so these were pretty easy to. There's a pretty clear picture in my mind of what all of these dudes looked like. Um, so then the changes that happen from the home game to now are, I think in the other game, I just made up their names. I think all the names were just kind of made up fantasy names. I think I took a few of them from Suikoden, the RPG, old PlayStation RPG. And then for a second in Dragontown, when I was adapting them to Dragontown, I was going to give them, they were all going to have French names. Because originally when I started naming stuff, I was like kind of pulling from, I was like, okay, if anybody has like Elven heritage, they would have, I think I was giving them like Greek kind of names, and then like the dragon had like a sort of Latin, like there was like a lot of Latin kind of stuff, and then so then the cats, Blue was the name of the cat, and I was like, oh, all the cats are gonna be like French names. And then I was like, wait, dude, this is like, I can't do this. This is like super insensitive. Yeah, I had to come up with everything. Yeah, that wasn't Tobin, Rubin, or Bluetooth. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, then I just dropped that whole like trying to keep the cultures making sense. And I was like, this is fantasy. Like, I don't even want to go there. Like, it's insensitive and lame, and that's not a way to. So what I thought was all of the alley cats are named after their like fur coloring. So and this goes back to Brandon's original idea, is that they're these like kind of orphan cats that all grew up together on the streets picking pockets, and kind of banded together to survive. And so I thought like, oh, this is a perfect way of, and that's not something that I ever explain on that 2-page spread. This does not get explained at all, but like maybe you can get there, is that all these cats they were never given a name, like we as humans give our cats names, but these cats never had parents to give them their names. So Blue and Choco here is I guess chocolate. Is that what that came from? There's like the chocolate coloring, and then Cal is calico, and then there's Tordy and Torby are the twins. What else? Who are the other ones? There's Ruddy is one, and there's 3 more that I can't remember. But yeah, that's just sort of the idea, is like, oh, that's their coloring. So, that's just the name that they use to call each other. And they're mostly like shortened, and like Cal is calico, just to kind of keep it cool. I don't know, but I'm like so much happier with that naming convention. And it's kind of like Dragontown is a a town that is in the middle of a valley filled with farms that are magic apple farms that are, for the most part, are run by halflings. And I always loved, like Flik Silverpen is the halfling author of this guidebook to Dragontown. And I always loved the idea of giving halflings taking the names of like what they're good at, or how their last names are like how they would want to be described. So Flik Silverpen, he has he's a good writer. I don't know. And naming the alley cats after their fur colors is like kind of that same idea, only it's not like what it's like a name out of needing a name instead of naming yourself what you would want to be considered good at. Like, that's a weird way to explain it, but you get the idea. What's up, Ryden? How's it going, dude? Not all heroes wear capes. None of these characters are heroes. They're all scumbags. So yeah, let's see. Are there any questions about the layout of the zine, or any more questions about like the story of it or anything like that? I think the progress, I've kind of like really kicked into gear, like making progress on it. Very cute scumbags. Yeah, so like the aesthetic of Dragontown, I draw a friendly, simple, I think like childlike or whimsical is a word I like to use a lot. I like Dragontown. I definitely want to be a friendly place, and then there's elements of danger and seediness that are like kind of seeping in to Dragontown, and the alley cats are one of those things. But like it's still, yeah, I don't know. It's just when I think of fantasy stuff, I think of it. Like on one hand, I can see the Lord of the Rings and the D&D art, but like when I imagine the way I want to experience fantasy in a game of D&D, it's more like what I'm drawing now. It's no less dangerous or there can still be elements of horror, like there's zombies and stuff, but at the same time the zombies like have puke and fart attacks, and so like there's like I feel like fantasy should be fun, and that doesn't mean that like danger and stuff can't be a part of it, because that's like what gives it stakes. And like there's a note on there's like a little pop out note that Flik Silverpen writes on the Alley Cat spread that says, hey, if your group of adventurers goes down into the Alley Cat's hideout and they're all there and they pick a fight, like your group is probably going to die because there's 9 alley cats and they all are going to protect their hideout, and they're not opposed to using poison and cheap tricks to win a fight. So like there can still be danger, but then they're cat people that, so like, yeah, I hope that explains it. Hi from Brazil, Renato. That's awesome. Thank you. Love the giant stag beetle idea. Thanks. Dude. Yeah. That was like, that's another thing is like, how can I go like one step further and, like on these ideas, it's simple idea. Like Dragontown is full of simple ideas, right? But like, how do you take it one step further to make it feel fantastical, right? So like, so the giant stag beetles is, so, like I said, Dragontown, bunch of magical apple farms. And like, I was like, okay, magical apple farms, that's super cool. It's not just apple farms, it's magical apple farms. That makes it fantastical. So like all the different types of apples, there's a whole chart at the beginning of the book that has 13 different apple varieties. They all have different colors and rarities, and they all have different effects. So if you eat one of the apples, you gain a certain effect, because they're magic, right? But then like, so that's a cool, fantastical idea. But then you have to like think about the practicality of, there's a bunch of farmers, and like a bunch of apple farmers. Like it could just be medieval apple farmers that pick the apples, and like the fact that they're magical makes it fantastic. But like, I was like, there could be more to it. And then I saw this video of, there's this machine that it's like a little truck, and it has this like weird funnel looking thing on the front of it, and it opens up, and then they like drive the truck up to the tree, and then the funnel closes around the bottom of the tree. So it's like the trunk of the tree, and then there's like a big funnel that goes around, and then so there's like a funnel underneath where all the apples are, and then they like flip a switch, and then the truck just goes and like just violently shakes the tree, and so all the apples fall down into the funnel, and then it like backs up and just dumps all the apples into a crate or whatever. I was like, dude, what's the fantasy version of that? I was like, what if they had these giant beetles whose mandibles close around the tree, and then the beetles shake the tree and all the apples fall down. And I was like, okay, but how are these little halfling farmers going to control these giant beetles? And like, then there's like a magic whistle and stuff, and it kind of, once you get going, it all kind of like, your imagination just can keep going and going and going. Very whimsical, welcoming. Yeah. Super. Dude, thank you. I love that. That's Stitches. That's awesome. My twin girls and their friends are going to start playing D&D. I'm playing a few other games with them until this comes out. Then we'll do. Yes. I'm very excited to hear the stories of how kids interact with Dragontown. Is it Ducey? Please send me a message when you start running it, and tell me stories. Tell me stories. Teenage Mutant Ninja Kittens, yeah. For real. Michael, how's it going, dude? Gave me a Hollow Knight vibe. Oh yeah, that's man, I gotta play that game. Jim Tom, So, dude, Jim Tom, I do not believe that you don't have an imagination. It's all about like I think it's a practice. Like you just have to be. It's a practice of being open. So I just told the story about, you know, um, like this machine. You know, it's like how people pick apples now are these funnel shaking machines, right? And it's just like seeing that video and then having Dragontown and all of this stuff in mind, just and like being open to it. I don't know. It's like imagination is just like making connections. It's just like practice making connections. So like, how do I combine this idea and this idea, put them together, and that's all. It's not like it comes out of nowhere. Um, you know what, Brandon? It all comes from Brandon. um, so Michael, hey, I just ordered the Orchard Lake. I ordered some Orchard Lake beard butter because I have. So everybody, Detroit Grooming Company, a great beard grooming company. um, they have great stuff. I just ordered the Orchard Lake because you sent some of the Orchard Lake oil, and I think that's my favorite scent. Is that what you call it? And so, the alley cats are done. Yeah, that's my favorite scent. So I was like, I got to get the beard butter. Okay, I'm going to put the slideshow back up, and then we'll get rid of that, and we can have the logo back. Yeah, so okay, let me catch up. Watching all of vids as I try to create the first dungeon. Been playing nearly 5 years and wanted to try. Yeah, it's really not that hard. Like if you've been playing for 5 years, like you know what to do. Like you know what makes for a fun dungeon. It's just a matter of sitting down and like planning it out and like thinking of a cool hook. Once you get that cool hook, then the ball gets rolling and your imagination can start making those connections and like filling it out into something cool. And also it doesn't, so like I'm going to do a video making a mega dungeon at some point. And actually the thing that comes after Dragontown is technically going to be a mega dungeon. So my plan, sneak peek into the plans that come after Dragontown. So part of the Kickstarter, one of the stretch goals was to do a little mini adventure. And so the forest south of Dragontown is called Windsong Woods. And I have, so this is a mock-up. This is actually a sheet of 11 by 17 paper folded down into a little 8-page book. 8-page book. And so the mini adventure is going to be a little tiny little 8-page book, and then you can fold it out, and on the back is the map of the Windsong Woods. Right? And so that I still have to come up with that and make that. So that is part of the reason there is a month delay on the Dragontown zine. But after the zine ships, I'm thinking that what I would like to do is start a Patreon where every month there is a new like little I guess technically it's a one-page adventure because it's like a one poster adventure that folds down into a little book that you. So it's the same kind of deal as Dragon Town, only like much more condensed. But it's like a 8-page book that helps a DM run it, and then that folds out and can be a map of like what you're looking at too. But the way that I'm not going to spoil how Dragon Town wraps up, but it's not like an expansion. Yep. So when Dragon Town as an adventure ends, it can kind of keep going. So like the mountains that are kind of in the background up there, the Shadespeare Mountains. So there's the Windsong Woods are south of Dragontown in the valley, and then the Shadespeare Mountains are north. And there's something lurking within the Shadespeare Mountains that is kind of the next threat after Dragontown. And so I think the Patreon, at least at the beginning, I have an idea for what I want the next Dragontown thing to be, but until then, the Patreon would be like every month would be a new part of exploring what is the Shadespeare Mountains and beneath. And so it would kind of act like you could get Dragontown, be a patron, get the things, get the books in the month, get the books in the mail every month, or there's going to be digital options as well. And in theory, you could start with Dragontown and run an adventure, like it's going to build and build and build, but also every month will be its own sort of standalone thing. So if you have a different game that you're running and you just want like, oh, this is a cool idea that I can drop into my game over here, it'll totally work like that too. That's the idea, at least. So the real test is going to be when I write this Windsong Woods mini adventure that is, if you backed Dragontown on Kickstarter, it was a stretch goal, or if you pre-order it on the website, it will come with an extra little Windsong Woods book. So that's going to be the real test. Maybe these plans will change once I do that, but I think that's the idea for now. Okay, let's see. Yeah, dude. So yeah, hey, everybody, like if you're a person with a beard, go follow Detroit Grooming Company and like okay. Weird little there's a weird little thing at the end here. So Michael from Detroit sent me some stuff, and it's like kind of changed my life. So I don't know if you can tell, I have very, very like extremely sensitive skin. I'm allergic to alcohol. So like, which is a weird thing to say. But if you like put lotion on, like if you just like use regular lotion, it has alcohol in it. And that messes up my skin, and it's a pain in the butt. So I had to like get special stuff, but Michael sent me some beard stuff, and like it works wonderfully. It keeps my beard clean and soft, and there's so like, I am a dude, like until recently, for years and years, I just buzzed my head, like whatever, like I don't super care about my appearance very much. But like getting this beard stuff, like just spending the time to like take care of yourself has like really changed my life. Like I feel more confident, and like it's a thing, like actually take care of yourself and you feel better. And like Michael from Detroit Grooming Company sent me this stuff, and like made it easy for me to start taking care of myself. My beard. I shouldn't say myself because that is everything, but me, start taking care of my beard, and like that has kind of snowballed into some other things, and it like really is awesome. So like go, like I'm serious. If you have a beard and you don't like do any, like I never did anything like I shampoo, like I would shampoo my hair, shampoo my beard, but like actually taking care of it, it's good, man. Go check out Detroit Grooming Company. Not sponsored. He's just a cool dude that hooked it up and like it's been good. It's been good. Okay, let me check. Yeah, a mega dungeon, basically, that can also be pulled apart. Yep. Builds upon the world for sure. Yeah. Okay, here's the question. I'm making a one-page dungeon. What ratio do you typically divide flavor text versus like actual puzzle solutions and such? And how detailed do you typically get with each? Okay, so let's look at... So I think, because I'm actually a fairly new DM, I think I've been doing it for like 2.5 years. I think I feel like I kind of run what a typical person who runs 5e, like how they do it, right? So that's like kind of a big question. So like looking at the page that's on the screen now, right? Excuse me. So, but a one-page dungeon. So I've done there is a video. I actually think I like accidentally made a really, really good one-page dungeon. It feels weird to say that I made something really, really good, but there is a video on my channel. Let me pull it up. Let me look it up. Because it's a dungeon that I'm actually very proud of. Not the Ettercap one. That one's very basic. Yes. Okay. So it's actually 2 parts. So there's how do I... Okay, so I'm going to copy the video here, and I'll put it in the chat. So this one, the video is called How to Create a One-Page Dungeon, Temple of the Blood Crystal. So a big part of this video is about how to present a one-page dungeon. I don't think that's important. But I was saying earlier that that like coming across a hook is super important, and I think that's what I figured out in that video. And so the hook was, okay, I want to make a one-page dungeon. I was trying to figure out, what do I do to, what would make a cool like single adventure? And I think at the time I was very worried that someone in my game was about to die. And so I was like, okay, if someone dies in an adventure, I want to have something that's easy to run as a backup. Like the other people can go on a quest and resurrect their friend at a low level. They complete the dungeon. The reward is they get to resurrect their friend. And that hook led me down a rabbit hole of what, okay, so how does that work? How does that concept of, make it through a dungeon with a bunch of encounters, the reward is a resurrection spell. What does that look like? And then as long as I kept that in the back of my mind, it was super easy to fill out that idea in that dungeon. So I think now to finally get back to your question, the it's all setup. It's all set. It's like 100% setup, right? So like. So actually, maybe that isn't a really really good one-page dungeon, because you either win or you lose, right, at the end, and maybe that isn't interesting. So maybe it's just an okay one-page dungeon actually, because you either are successful, you rid the temple of the blood crystal of its curse, and you are rewarded with a resurrection, or you don't. And so maybe it would be more interesting if there were more options of what could happen. But I think that might also be a thing that is something bigger, like this Dragon Town adventure. So now to finally answer your question, I think it's all set up. So you, like there are no the only time there are like concrete solutions are when you know there's going to be a fight. So like the boss encounter, which is the video that comes after the not the sludge behemoth, that's Dragon Town. Corpse monstrosity. I made this corpse monstrosity encounter that's like the boss fight of the blood crystal dungeon. That's an encounter where you either you die and you get sucked into you become a part of the corpse monstrosity, or you defeat it and you free the temple of the curse. And so fights are the only place, and that's just the nature of a fight, win or lose. I mean, I guess there's like, you could be captured, or there you could run away. There are a few more outcomes. So maybe I'm talking in crazy circles here, but what I'm trying to say is it's all set up, right? So we'll take the alley cats as an example. The cat caper, the setup is here are why the alley cats are in Dragon Town. So there's some text that relays that information, right? Dragon's gone, unattended treasure, thieving cats want the treasure. They're trying to get it. That's like, it's like the writing is like just enough to get that idea across. And then that feline crime section is, hey, the same obstacle that's keeping your group from going to the castle is the same obstacle that's keeping the alley cats from getting the treasure. So in the meantime, here's how they're messing with the town. So it's like a second setup of like there's like the A story for the alley cats, and there's the B story. And so that's just like, hey, we're gonna pickpocket everybody in Dragon Town. Right? That's the B plot. So there's two ways that you can, two setups of how you can interact with the alley cats. And then, like the block that has their names, the block of text that has their names, like that's like soup, there's 9 characters and they each get like 1 or 2 sentences that describes them. And that's just enough. That's like all you really need as a dungeon master to play these characters, right? And then there's the stat blocks. If you get into a fight, they have a few, they have surprise attacks, smoke bomb, because they're a group that lives and fights together. They work well together. Like there's a couple of, little things that you can, you add into the fight, but really, that's all you need. And then you kind of throw all that in front of your characters and see, what happens. So the next page, the next spread is their hideout. So it's the map that I drew in the last video It is a description of each of the rooms, what's in the rooms, like really it's like you know, like 1-2 sentence descriptions of the rooms, and then there's a section about them building this catapult and what they're doing with the catapult. And that's all the alley cats are. But like in the playtest, the players like spent 2 whole sessions like interacting and figuring out this whole deal with the alley cats. Pretty much like an encounter with them. They like stopped them from pickpocketing people. They set a trap. They heard about the alley cats. They set a trap for them. And then they stopped them from pickpocketing people. And then they ended up making a deal with them to help get into the castle. So it was like a fight encounter, and then they ended up teaming up with the alley cats. And so all that came from just this much. You kind of, it's like you just set it up and then let your players do the rest, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, that was a long. I hope that was a good answer. Deucey, sorry, you're probably long gone at this point. Thank you though. Hello, Claire. D&D and art. Yes, those are my 2 favorite things too. A catapult. Yep, you got it. That's intention. There's not many puns in Dragon Town, but there's got to be a few, you know. Yeah, so I mean, okay, the other thing is like, if it's something you're just running yourself, write as much as you want. If you're trying to fit it on 1 page as a 1-page dungeon, you got to be concise. That you're like trying to, you know, give to other people to run. And actually, that's something that this Dragontown zine has been a big challenge. Is like trying to be concise, and trying to fill it with as much stuff as possible to like make this full, rich, you know, when I say rich, I mean like well realized world, but then not overwhelm a DM with like too many things, but then also give them enough resources to like, if players have a question about this one thing, they know exactly where to look to find it. It's like, that's what I did not, I wasn't ready for that challenge. I think I've finally gotten a grip on it. With the whole layout process, like figuring out, you know, how much I can fit into these 2-page spreads, shrinking stuff, expanding stuff, like that was the big learning experience of writing this book for sure. Most memorable D&D character, my favorite. I actually haven't played that many games of D&D as a player. So when I first got back into it, I played it as a half-orc barbarian named Zorg Thunderfist. And he was cool. And then I played a halfling rogue. So I started out playing like the stereotypes for sure. But then had fun, like kind of subverting that in very little ways. I'm trying to remember. Flik, Quickstep, I think was whenever I play a halfling, I call him Flik. And so like, that's where Flik Silverpen comes from. Flik, Quickstep, he was fun. And then I'm trying to think, I played a dwarf bard named Dwamden. I can't remember his last name. He was He was actually a spy in the party, and so I joined a group later, and they had already started their adventure, and they found me in an underground city. Like I had been captured, and they freed me. And then I was actually a spy. They were doing a job for one queendom actually. Is that a word? It should be a word. And then they were doing a job for that one group, and the group that was opposing them and like trying to make things harder for them, I was actually a spy for that group. And so we never got to the point where I could like reveal that I was a spy, but I was gonna, at some point I was gonna like dip out of the campaign and like probably make a new character, and like steal the thing that they were trying to recover for this one kingdom. Yeah, right. I think that was when I started like all right, let's like get weird with it, you know? Um Goblin Barbarian, Rage. Yeah. Fury of the Small. Yeah. So right now I'm playing it's not a game of D&D, it's a game called Demon Lord some oh boy, why can't I remember what it's called? Shadow of the Demon Lord. So I'm playing a goblin, like priest cleric kind of thing, and so he's probably actually I think I made I made a video about creating him. Spew is his name, but completely random character. But he's probably the coolest character I've made. He's he's like this little crazy goblin that this green moon has returned to the world, and he's like obsessed with this green moon, and like has kind of made himself a cleric of the green moon, and like worships this like evil green moon that has returned, and like he doesn't really know why, but he knows that it's important. And we're trying to the group is trying to find a wizard that has something to do with the green moon, but also can like tell us stuff. It's complicated. But Spew is all about getting to this wizard because they have teleportation magic, and he's heard that it's possible to teleport to the moon, but nobody that's teleported to the moon has ever come back. And so Spew is like, he's like, I'm gonna teleport to the moon and rule over everything. So yeah, he's pretty fun. Okay, dudes, I feel like been going for a minute here. So if you have any last questions about the layout, I'm happy to answer. What I'm actually gonna do is cut this live stream down edit it down into a video. So the live stream isn't gonna be on the channel, but a version of it talking about the layout will be. Spaceman Spew. That's awesome. Man, that just reminds me of Spaceman Spiff from Calvin and Hobbes. So yeah, Dragontown, it's going good. If it seems like everybody in here knows what the deal with Dragontown is. If you don't, it's a zine. It's gonna be good, I hope. I'm working really hard on it. There's a link in the video below this somewhere where you can pre-order it. It's going to be 40 pages. There's maps. The maps I have to draw are going to be good. I'm about to start redrawing the castle map. Everything's going to be isometric now. glad for the. Oh yeah, so the Kickstarter gets I don't want to overload people with the email updates from the Kickstarter, so just once a month there's an email. Yeah, and then once I get the zine done and everything is ready to ship, and I feel confident, then the Patreon will probably start, and yeah, so that's coming. Lots of adventure on the way. So yeah, I'm finally gotten to the point with the Dragontown zine where for a long time it was like endless noodling and making sure everything was perfect, but now that I'm starting to the layout is basically done. It's just a matter of filling in the illustration. Now I'm getting to the point where I can see the end. Like I can. There's pages of the book that are done, and so I'm starting to leave some of the perfectionism behind, and like just finish the book. And I think that actually doesn't sound like a good thing, but it's a good thing. Like I think at this point the zine is as good as it's gonna get. And there's a few, those yellow boxes from the beginning that still need some tweaking here and there. I've identified those places, but otherwise, like, it's the zine's in good shape, and I'm excited about finishing it. And all of the ideas that I had for the zine are in there, and now all the ideas I'm having are going to be the next thing. So like, yeah, it's getting close. It's just a matter of drawing. And there's a ton of drawing in the zine. So I'm halfway through. Once I draw the catapult, I will be halfway through drawing the zine. 20 out of the 40 pages. Well, I'll almost be halfway through. Because I still got to do the little drawing at the... Anyway, I'm basically halfway through with the drawings in the book. So yeah, by the end of June, I'm hoping to have it done. And if not ready to send to the printer, it'll just be proofreading. And then it'll go to the printer. Will the Patreon be different than the Kickstarter? Yeah, so the Patreon will... Yeah, so like Dragontown's big, right? Dragontown is 40 pages. There's a lot, I'm really cramming in a lot of stuff, a lot of ideas and stuff into the zine. Like I said, each 2-page spread is kind of like its own thing. So this is like a full adventure. This is to run Dragontown. We're talking. It took us six sessions, and they did Grandpap's farm. They did the slime encounter. They set a trap for the alley cats, teamed up with them, and then went into the castle. What they didn't do, they didn't go to the crypt. They didn't go to the apiary. There's shops and stuff they didn't go to. So they experienced maybe 2/3 of what's in the book, and it took us 6 sessions to play through. And that was me rushing the last 2. I feel kind of bad because they got the last 2 sessions were rushed, and they could have been more fun if I but we had to rush it. But anyway, so that's to give some perspective on the book. The Patreon will be this, it's like a little 8-page zine, and then it folds out, and the map of what will be is, you know, the map of the mini adventure, I guess, will be on the back. So map, and then it folds down into a book. So on one side you have everything as a DM that you need to run in the book form, and then you'll have the map that'll also have information on it. So it's more of like a one-shot kind of thing. And so I'm thinking that my hope is there'll be enough in that are worth like 2 sessions, like one long session, or two my kind of set, like 3-hour sessions. And then you'll get one of those every month in the Patreon. I hope that explains it well enough. Was I a fan of Cracked Magazine? I am unaware of Cracked Magazine. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so, and the other thing about the Patreon that because I think this format is going to be really good for me to like crank out ideas. I'm thinking about, I just got the West End game. I think Fantasy Flight just reissued the West End Games Star Wars RPG from the late 90s, I think is when it's from. It's a D6 system. It looks it's very cool. It's super simple to run. It's like the rules are good. And if I'm saying the rules are good, that means like, because I don't like rules. So like I immediately got my head around the rules, which I think is a good thing. So I might even do like some little Star Wars adventures at some point, or at least some like science fiction kind of thing, mix it up a little bit. But the immediate plan, and actually I have this huge list of everything that comes after. So the idea will be Dragontown is your level 1 to level 3 adventure, and then the Patreon will continue with a couple of points of interest around the Malamir Valley is what it's called now. So, you know, Dragontown will come with the Windsong Woods. I imagine the first month of Patreon will be Shadespeare Mountains, and then it'll start being below, like what's below the Shadespeare Mountains, Mega Dungeon style. Each level is a new zine that you can kind of continue the story, and it gets more and more difficult until the big thing at the end, which would be like your big campaign ending thing. Or like I said, you can just pull, you know, oh, this is a cool, the Emperor of Worms is one of the ideas I have. And that's like a whole, you know, a whole, that would, you know, like it would be Flik's Guide to the Emperor of Worms. And then it's whatever that's going to be. And, you know, you could just pull out that and use that in your, oh yeah. Okay. I do remember Cracked. So like as a kid, yeah, I liked that. Yeah, I thought that stuff was funny. Oh, wait. It's like Ghostbusters, but Star Wars? What's like Ghostbusters? Dude, a Ghostbusters RPG would be sick. Oh, why hasn't somebody made that? Dude. Ideas. Oh, man. It would be so easy. You could have like different vehicles and stuff, and then like you could get like better and better weapons that like, oh. They also publish Ghostbusters. Oh. Dude, I gotta check that out. I had no idea. I'm gonna find that. That's awesome, because that is very exciting to me. A Ghostbusters RPG is that actually that makes, now that you say that D6 system perfect for it. Perfect for it. Write it down. Yeah, I should. I don't have a pen over here, but I'm not gonna forget that. All right, dudes. I've been going for 2 hours. Oh, I can talk, man. Well, you know what? I will do. Maybe I'll do a Ghostbusters, one of these for the Patreon at some point, and we can play it. I'll play test it on you, JC. Epic ghost game born on the stream. Yeah, actually, there's a ghost in Dragontown that I think is very cool. Yes. Okay, dudes. Wow, thank you so much for hanging out and asking questions, and I hope this was a cool little look at how the zine layout is going. Like I said, there'll be a video maybe tomorrow or Monday. We'll see how quickly I can get this edited down. But yeah, dude, thank everyone in here. Thank you so much for hanging out and like being excited about Dragontown. It really like makes me so excited and motivated, and yeah, I really 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 appreciate it. All right, dudes. I will have to do this again soon. Actually, probably when Dragontown, when I'm done with it. I think when I'm done, I'll do another live stream. Probably just like answering questions about the zine. Although like some of you like know everything there is to know at this point. I've talked so much about it. But yeah, I'll do another live stream when I'm all done and do some more sneak peeks and stuff. But yeah, otherwise I got more videos coming with more stuff from the zine. I'm gonna draw a region map. I'm gonna draw the dragon is getting redrawn. I'm going to talk about some things while I draw the dragon. Some more videos about Dragontown coming soon. How many times can I say dragon in one sentence? And also, I got some ideas for some other fun D&D videos. So stay tuned on the channel. And also, thank you so much for hanging out and making me excited. And yes. Brandon, I'll see you soon, dude. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. Thank you. And I'll see you again soon.